Welcome to The Vinyl Guide, the podcast for record collectors and music nerds. Here's your host, the biggest record nerd of them all, Nate Goyer.
Well, hey everyone, it's Nate. Welcome to episode 515 of The Vinyl Guide, the podcast for record collectors and music nerds. And ladies and gentlemen, today I'm very stoked to be sharing a conversation I just had with Hüsker Dü and Ultrabomb bassist Greg Norton. We talk all about Hüsker Dü's miracle year of 1985, which is now being canonized on a box set through Numero Group. We also talk about Greg's upcoming visit to the Punk Rock Museum, September 9th. Put that in your calendar, everyone, September 9th. There's going to be a guided tour. There's going to be a live performance. It's going to be a cool day at the Punk Rock Museum. Greg and I also talk all about vinyl. He used to work in record stores, of course. We talk about the rarities of his catalog, the Statue single from Hüsker Dü, Reflex Records. We talk about the making of Zen Arcade, Ultrabomb vinyl, and more. So again, I just mentioned Greg is at the Punk Rock Museum, September 9th. There's only one guided tour, and there's limited spots. So head over to thepunkrockmuseum.com. Lock that in. Also head over to Numero Group to pre-order your copy of Hüsker Dü, The Miracle Year. Already the super fancy and limited vinyl versions are sold out, but there are others there that will no doubt be gone shortly as well. So get over there quick. That's numerogroup.com. Finally, one last thing. Look, this podcast is my passion. I spend a lot of time on it, and it truly is fueled by our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/vinyl guide. So if you're not a supporter, I'm asking you, head over there now. Help us keep this going. $5 or $10 a month, or even more if you could afford it, is totally welcomed, and it keeps me going with beer and burritos making these podcasts. Plus, there's extra stuff up there, like today. There's an extended version of the Greg Norton interview up there. We discuss more vinyl, record stores, punk rock, and more. So you get extras, and you help support the show at patreon.com/vinyl guide. And thank you for indulging me in that message. And with that, let's give Greg Norton a call and talk all about Hüsker Dü, punk rock, vinyl, and more. Hello.
Hello. Looks like I have to adjust some settings here.
That's all right.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, here we go.
Hey.
Ooh, there's the mustache. All right.
How's it going?
Great. Well, Greg, welcome to the show. Really appreciate having you on here. And let's make sure everyone knows September 9th, you're going to be at the Punk Rock Museum for guided tours and a show, I believe.
That is correct. I believe it's just one tour at 3 p.m. and I will be joined on that tour with Scott Reynolds, who was the first singer in the band All when Milo went to college and the Descendants wanted to keep playing. And then at 9 o'clock that night, Scott will be playing a short set, and I'm jumping up with some buddies, and we're going to rip through a bunch of Husker tunes.
Ooh, fantastic. That sounds like a great day. So anyone in the Las Vegas area or surrounding that can get there September 9th, please do. You've been to the Punk Rock Museum before. Do you have like a favorite or a memorable item that's on display in the Punk Rock Museum?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Strummer's Telecaster is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. But, actually, I think one of my favorite things in there is Dave Gregg's Stratocaster that he, while he was in DOA, liked to light on fire. So yeah. It's basically the charred remnants of that guitar. Was lucky enough to see DOA live on numerous occasions and watch Dave light that thing on fire. And he was really a sweet guy. So miss him, but that's pretty cool.
Oh.
That one's kind of special to me.
I'm trying to think what Husker stuff is in the Punk Rock Museum.
Not much at all. We're working on that, trying to get more stuff in there. Basically, we're kind of represented by, flyers here and there. I keep meaning to get a hold of Mona and go like, I need to send you some stuff. And although I believe they have gotten some other things recently from a collector out east. So.
Got it. Okay. Did you hang on to much stuff from back in the day? Do you have a little personal archive of your own?
Yeah, I mean, I've got, a few things. Mostly it was like a lot of saved flyers and fanzines and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Any test pressings or anything musical?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I have all those, but that's not really anything I'm going to ship out to the museum. So,
No. Oh, fair enough. No, those are personal memories there. Are you much of a
yeah.
record nerd? Do you collect records? Do you have a record collection?
I used to have a huge record collection, and I no longer have a record collection, nor do I have a turntable at the moment. So, um, downsizing.
They do take up a lot of space and they're heavy to
Yep.
move.
Yeah, I had probably about 7,000 LPs for a while, and I had to move those a couple of times. And I think the last time I had to move it broke me. So,
Fair enough. Now, I understand record stores played a very central role in the forming of Hüsker Dü. Is that right?
absolutely, yep, yeah. It's Grant and I met working together at a record store, and uh, in a strip mall in West St. Paul called Melody Lane. That store had a kind of a sister store called Cheapo Records, which was on the McAllister campus in St. Paul on Grand Avenue. And Grant and I both worked there for a while as well. And that's where and how we met Bob when Bob showed up to McAllister for his freshman year and was walking down the street, and Grant was blasting the Ramones on a PA speaker out on the sidewalk, and that's how those two hooked up. And then when the band actually finally started, I was working at another record store called Northern Lights on University Avenue, and the owner, uh, the shop was fairly new. And the owner of the store was like, well, hey, if you guys need a place to rehearse, if you want to like clear out all of the construction remnants from the build out that are in the basement, you guys can rehearse down there. So we cleared out the basement for him, so he got some free labor. But then we ended up with uh, a rehearsal spot. Store closed at 9. By 9:05, we were downstairs making noise, and would play until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we were playing every night, learning how to be a band, and it was great because there weren't any neighbors to complain about anything, and that's really where Husker really got going.
Now, when you guys start putting together your plans for, recording, as I understand, you were thinking Twin Tone would be the home for the band. When that didn't eventuate, you guys went out on your own. How did you learn how to create your own record?
Yeah, so we did record a 3-song demo for Twin Tone, and Twin Tone was operated by 3 principal owners. Charlie Hallman, who was actually, I think he was a sports writer for the St. Paul Pioneer Press back in the 70s. Peter Jesperson, who was ran Orfolk Joke Opus, and then Paul Stark, who is the owner of Twin Tone. Every one of our songs somebody liked, but each one liked a different song out of those 3, so there was no consensus. So they're like, well, we're going to pass on putting out a single for you guys. So that's how Reflex Records was born. And we're like, okay, well, we're just going to put this out ourselves then. You know, Found out where people have records pressed and sent them the tapes, and we did the artwork ourselves and assembled the 45s when we finally got our that first pressing. And I think there was an overrun on the very first pressing too. I think like we ordered 1,000, and I think we got 1,250. But it was just one of those things where you just do it. It's not like we sat down and it's like, okay, well, now we have to be our own record company. How do we do this? And we're just like, well, okay, that's it. We're going to put it out. So we did.
And you guys did all the assembly yourselves, just sit in front of a TV, sleeving records and putting inserts in?
Yeah, probably no TV involved, but
Oh,
that was it. Yeah.
okay. All right. And how did you guys sell the records? How you brought them to gigs, put them in shops? How do you remember how they left?
Yeah, I mean, brought them to gigs. Did a lot of, try to sell them to shops while you're on the road. I don't think we got anybody in distro to pick it up. So I think pretty much all of those records were schlepped out by ourselves.
Okay. Was there some time where you had boxes of them you're wondering how to get rid of?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely boxes of them to begin with, but like I said, we sent a lot out in press kits or to radio stations. Oh, sorry, that's my dog.
That's right.
Um, his name is Sir Jackson Hüsker Dü, by the way. But yeah, so we would, we managed to go through them pretty quick. It seemed.
For the Statue single, there was an alternate sleeve. There was the one with the kids and the cutouts that I think we all know. But then there was a sleeve that looked like an ocean of some sort. Do you recall the one I'm talking about?
That sounds like a bootleg.
Oh, maybe a bootleg. Okay, all right. So there wasn't a bespoke one you guys had for any particular reason,
Right? Yeah, that only had just that original black and white sleeve that Grant designed with the cutout kids on the front, and then the kind of the stretched photo of all the little Mao statues on the inside.
Yeah. So the catalog of Husker Du is incredibly extensive. I mean, the band was so prolific over the years, and there seems to have been quite an effort to preserve the recordings, a bit of a Husker Du archive. Is there anything really missing? Anything significant of Husker Du, especially recording tapes, masters, that sort of thing, that just can't seem to be located these days?
I'm pretty sure that we have located and still retain all of those reels. I can't really talk a lot about the SST masters, but those have been located, and yeah, and we were sitting on some assets of our own as well that hadn't been released yet. I think the only thing that we're kind of still looking for is we did have a film crew record one of our shows, and we think we might have finally might be on the right track for finding that. But Grant had a house fire, I think in 2011, and a lot of the stuff that he had was lost in that fire. So there's always some question about well, was that something that Grant had that got burned up, or is it elsewhere?
Okay. So the stuff that was on the Numero comp, Savage Young Do,
Yeah.
that didn't originate from Grant. That was from a different source.
Right. So Terry Katzman, Terry worked at Orfolk and also did sound at the Longhorn Bar in Minneapolis when we first started out. And we became really, really good friends with Terry, and Terry started doing our live sound. And he recorded every show. He popped in a cassette, and sadly, Terry passed away from a heart attack a few years ago, but his estate has all of these archival early shows documented, and those tapes were the source for Savage Young Do, plus obviously a bunch of demos as well. And and they remastered the Everything Falls Apart LP for that as well.
Oh, it's such a great box set. What was your involvement in that box set?
Actually, all three of us and Terry Katzman were all involved with working on that, and picking out what we felt were the was the best material to make it onto that. And here again, sadly, Grant passed away just a couple of months before that got released.
So, Greg, I'm going to ask you a question, and I can cut it out if you want me to.
Okay, sure.
I get the feeling we're on the precipice of hearing more Dü. It's kind of been teased here and there. Would that be correct? Is there anything you could share on that?
Yeah. Well, considering that I'm assuming this isn't live.
No.
Okay. So tomorrow morning, Numero will actually announce a forthcoming box set that will be released later this year. It's again, it's a 4-disc deluxe box with a book, and it is all about Hüsker Dü in 1985, all live performances. And this is one of the things that we had in our archives was January 30th, 1985, First Avenue, Minnesota. We hired Paul Stark at Twin Tone. Well, actually, we didn't hire Paul, but we rented their 24-track mobile unit and recorded. We did 2 shows that day. We recorded both shows, and the plan was to release a live LP towards the end of '85. But we signed to Warner Brothers in the end of September that year, and that live album just got shelved, and it's it never got leaked, never got bootlegged. That's the first 2 discs. The disc 3 and 4 are sourced from board tapes from various shows throughout 1985. It was a big year for Husker. So January, New Day Rising gets released. Flip Your Wig is Zen Arcade is, finally really generating a lot of attention in the press and from major labels. So we release New Day Rising. We record Flip Your Wig. That gets released in September. Right after that, we signed to Warner Brothers. We actually recorded Candy Apple Gray in October of that year. In between all of those things, we played about 150 shows on 2 continents. And so '85 was a big year. I believe the official title from Numero is Hüsker Dü 1985, the Miracle Year.
Wow.
And so that gets announced tomorrow morning, and that's it. So it's not a secret anymore. It by the time this is released, everybody hopefully will be talking about it.
That's fantastic. My instincts were right. I saw Numero teasing something today, and I thought it's maybe something worth digging into. Okay, so I'm assuming it's going to follow a similar format as Savage Young Do, book, pictures, readables, 4 LPs. Wow. Okay, and so because I know listening to Savage Young Do, those are sourced off cassette tapes, pretty rough, some dingy clubs. Some of the sound quality you need to be a little bit forgiving for it, but this is direct, this is a proper live album, just was never released.
Right, exactly.
Wow, phenomenal. I can't wait for that. So with that tour, with Zen Arcade, did the band ever play Zen Arcade beginning to end live?
We never played anything beginning to end live until the Warehouse tour. With Hüsker Dü, we were constantly touring the record that we were about to record, as opposed to the record that just got released. So if you came to a show and you just bought Zen Arcade, you were going to hear a lot of stuff from New Day Rising. By the time we were constantly working on new material, and we sometimes, like Out on a Limb is a song that was written during a sound check, and we played it in the show that night. We weren't afraid to stick new material into the set if we felt like, good about it.
I guess that makes sense, because then they're road tested, and then when it comes time to record them, you guys can get straight to business. You're familiar with them.
Get in there and you blast through all the basics, and most of the time they were first takes and or second takes, but I can't think of anything that we for basic tracks went past like 1 or 2 takes. It's like we knew the material, so it's like you get in, you're ready, and you lay it down.
The band was just pumping out so much material. That's such a rich vein of productivity those years. You guys were kind of going from, punk, hardcore, then melody driven. In your observations, did the band speak about it that much? The transitions, the musical transitions you guys were going through?
Yeah, we started out, as a punk band, but also a punk band that loved, power pop. And then, we went through a little bit, darker phase where we were influenced by Joy Division, and went through the hardcore thing, but also the whole time kept working those pop elements back into the music. I just read a article that Bob just did recently where he talks about Flip Your Wig being the album, the power pop album that Bob and Grant always were trying to make. I used to say it's like, we were the hardcore band that you could whistle to. So,
do you have a particular favorite album or series of songs?
I've never had one particular favorite because I've always looked at albums being a snapshot in time of where a band is at that particular moment. They all mean something a little bit different to me in that regard, but I like them all. In this article I read, Bob said that Flip Your Wig is his favorite of all the Husker albums. So
yeah, you don't have one that has sweeter memories than the others?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like them all.
Me too. So I'm fascinated with Zen Arcade. Did you guys know you're doing a double album? Like just the timing of it going in, was that the plan, or did it just keep coming thick and fast?
Zen Arcade was, we conceived that to be a rock opera, and we knew it was going to be a double album.
Right. And the storyline, piecing concept albums together. So many concept albums, the pieces sometimes are kind of jammed together or crowbarred to fit. How did that storyline start to emerge? Wasn't there at the beginning, or was throughout the writing process did it get pieced together?
Yeah, I would say that it was kind of more pieced together as the songs were written, and then we would kind of talk about it, and it would fall into a story arc. And there again, we didn't sit down and like map anything out. It just kind of organically fell into place. And there were a couple of things that were kind of improvised in the studio, but for the most part, yeah, that we had our concept coming in, and we stuck to our guns. Yeah. Which of course, when the Minutemen heard that it was going to be a double album, then they were like, well, shit, we can't let our record just be a single album, because they already had a single recorded and ready to go. According to Mike Watt, that album was the title was The Minutemen, Nothing to Hide, and it was supposed to feature a cover shot of the Minutemen in their birthday suits with nothing to hide. So Watt claims that we saved the world from that. But once they heard it was going to be a double, they were like basically went into scramble mode and got in and recorded that second album, and had some guest contributors contribute some lyrics on some songs. But wow, what an amazing record that turned out to be too. So it's crazy to think that Zen Arcade, Hüsker Dü Zen Arcade, and Minutemen Double Nickels on the Dime, two of the best double punk LP records ever to be released, got released on the same day by the same label.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Oh, they were released on the same day. I didn't realize that, because I thought Double Nickels was a reaction to Take That, Huskers. I thought there was a little bit of time between the two.
Nope. They, like I said, they scrambled to get that second LP's worth of material recorded and mixed so that they could get it released on the same day.
Oh gosh, you guys gave Joe Carducci a real headache that month.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Talk to me a bit about Spot's contributions to the Hüsker Dü recording sessions, especially like Zen Arcade. Was he involved, or did he comment, or help the band mold the concept?
Well, the concept was definitely already there. We started working with Spot when we recorded Everything Falls Apart, that we put out on Reflex. So Zen Arcade was the third record that we recorded with Spot, and all at Total Access in Redondo Beach. Reoccurring Dreams, we went in and we were just gonna like do a warm up, and Spot just decided, as soon as we started playing, he decided to hit record on the 2-track machine. So that Reoccurring Dreams was live straight to 2-track, and I thought that was really, a brilliant move on his part. He and Bob and Grant worked really closely together. Bob and Grant were still learning how to produce records, and so Spot, in the dual role of producer and engineer, but also as kind of like a mentor as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Were you guys worried about, like, as I understand, a lot of the recordings, especially Zen Arcade, most of them were first takes. Were vocals recorded at the same time, or were those recorded after?
Yeah, the basics were just instrumentals, and then vocals and guitar overdubs were done later.
Okay. So those were the concern of blowing out the voice too early, because, as I understand, Zen Arcade was done largely over a weekend.
It was, a couple of whirlwind recording sessions. We recorded all the basics and a lot of the vocals. In the first half of that, we had to play a couple of shows up the West Coast. I think we played Seattle, we played Portland, we played San Francisco, maybe one or two other shows there. When we got to San Francisco, we stayed at Jello Biafra's house, and we played him the rough mixes, played through the entire thing, and at the end, Jello Biafra just goes, "Ah, yes, Hüsker Dü, the band that brought self-indulgence back to rock and roll." So we're like, "Yeah, I think that's cool." But so then after that little stretch, we went back down to Total Access, and then mixed the record, and that was also kind of a marathon sprint. That doesn't make sense. But
so when it was released, I'm sure the band was very proud of it. Did it get the response you guys thought it would get, or did you care?
Well, so SST underestimated initial sales, and so the record sold out like right away. So this is the summer of '84. We were on the East Coast touring, and there were no records to be found anywhere. So we didn't have any to sell. Record stores didn't have any to sell. It took a little while for SST to get it repressed and back in stock. That wasn't really great, but that, it happened. And, and we kept playing the shows, but the record did get a lot of, really good press. It's great review from David Frick and Rolling Stone. Really great response from the British press, and so that really kind of helped kind of get things set up for us. We were, one of the, if Husker wasn't writing songs and in a studio, we were most likely on the road. We didn't really take a whole lot of time off, especially in the beginning. So.
How much overseas did you guys play? I know you guys went to Canada quite a bit. Did you guys go over an ocean?
So 1985, here we go. We were in the middle of an East Coast tour, and we got the offer to fly to London and record the Live in London show. So we played DC. We had to cancel one show, flew from DC to England, got into London about 11 o'clock that night. At 10 o'clock the next morning, we filmed the Live in London television program. And later that day, we were back on a plane and we flew to Cleveland, and then we played a show in Cleveland that night. So that was our first trip overseas, and then we did a full Europe and UK tour in September of that year.
So your first UK tour was not quite 24 hours.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How about the other way? Did you ever make it to Australia? I'd say the answer is probably no.
Well, it is no, and the unfortunate thing about the timing of when the band broke up. So 1988, the band planned for that year. We were going to record the third Hüsker Dü album in spring of that year, and then the tour plans for the rest of the year would have been Australia and Japan, with a stop in Hawaii on the way there and Alaska on the way back. And of course, the band broke up, so none of that happened.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's got an excuse not to come out here.
Yeah. Well, I would still like to get down there someday.
You're more than welcome to. We got a dog you could borrow while you're down here. So going from 1985 was just a mad year for you guys. Coming off of something like Zen Arcade and going into New Day Rising, was it deliberately kind of a bit of a change of pace for the band? I mean, you guys didn't want to do another double album. How did the band kind of feel about, what was the discussion about that shift?
Well, we knew we weren't going to do a double, but, New Day Rising is kind of a natural extension of where we were at with Zen Arcade, but now working in more of those pop elements. And then, Flip Your Wig, definitely even building more on that pop theme. So,
yeah,
we were constantly learning how to be better songwriters and for Bob and Grant to be better producers in the studio.
One thing that is kind of interesting about Hüsker Dü is from the very beginning, you guys also had these graphic elements. You had the symbol, the three lines with the intersecting line. You had the Hüsker Dü, kind of the cracked logo. That was all that was Grant, right? He had that marketing brand strength that is quite unique.
Yeah. Grant had a really good, eye for the visual elements. The three of us picked that circular logo. Grant, one of the early gigs that we did, just decided to rip the Hüsker Dü in half and then that back up there and make a photocopy of that. And then we're all like, oh, yeah, that rip looks really cool. So then we just started using that all the time. And those two elements also happen to be trademarked by Hüsker Dü. So bootleggers beware. Doesn't stop the T-shirt guys, though.
Do you still have to deal with a lot of those?
Yeah. I mean, there are so many bootleg T-shirt sites out there that claim that they're just host sites selling original art by somebody else, and that's how they claim to get around copyright law. But it's whack-a-mole. It's they're almost impossible to shut down.
Are you familiar with the Hüsker Dü database?
Yes, as a matter of fact. So I bought my first computer in the year 2000, back in 2000. And, so it's like, okay, I've got internet access. I'm going to Google something. So I type in Hüsker Dü, and that's the first thing that pops up. And I'm like, what in the hell is this? Who is this guy? This guy isn't Hüsker Dü. What is this bullshit? So anyway, as it turns out, and now I'm good friends with the guy that started it and runs it. His name's Paul Hilkoff. He lives in Boston. He never actually had an opportunity to see Hüsker Dü live, but he discovered the band, fell in love with the music. He's really good friends with Bob Mould these days as well. Came out to the Twin Cities when Grant got married the summer before he passed away. And Paul's really quite the archivist. There are some inaccuracies, like in the gig listing, but here again, Paul's just going off of what he finds on the internet. So, there definitely are a couple of shows that he has listed that never got played. So it's not 100% accurate, but it's a pretty cool thing and a huge undertaking just to keep it going,
Yeah, it is amazing. I'm going to throw a plug in here for him, thirdav.com or thirdav.com.
Yeah.
I'll put a link in this episode page, but yeah, it is just so comprehensive. All the different tour t-shirts, all Hüsker Dü and related releases, singles, promos. God, it just seems like a deep, deep well. And you do a little bit of QA checking, it sounds like, as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've looked through it before. Actually, I keep it pulled up on my phone because, like, when I'm on tour and we're someplace, and I'll be like, "Where do we play here?" And I'll go like scroll, and I'll find like, it's like, "Oh yeah, we played it at this club." It's just kind of cool stuff. And plus, Paul is constantly like, if he sees photos or posters that he hasn't seen before, he'll contact the person and ask for their permission to include it in the database. So yeah, Paul's a good dude.
Yeah, all bands should be lucky to have someone like Paul in their in their in their community. Now, let me ask you this, and again, I'm going to be very careful with this question. Greg, I don't want to get anyone in trouble or offend anyone.
Okay.
Right? Do you think that at some point we will see reissues of the band catalog from the time they were on SST?
I have no idea. No idea, and really no comment on it. So,
okay, all right. Well, we hope one day the universe provides those. From this point forward, I guess you could only really get older reissue copies, or God forbid, the counterfeits that seem to float around here and there.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of a crying shame.
It is. Well, hopefully something will happen there. Well, look, if anyone wants to hear those Hüsker Dü songs, September 9th at the Punk Rock Museum, Greg will be there playing them. You think Scott's going to get up and sing a couple?
I believe Scott is going to come up and sing at least one with us. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
I'm getting ready to wrap up, Greg. Is there anything you want to talk about we haven't talked about?
I do. So, this musical project with the buddies that's coming up in September, that's kind of like a side thing. My main thing is I'm the bass player and in a band punk rock trio called Ultrabomb.
Mm-hmm.
And Ultrabomb's been around for 4 years. We've got 2 records out. We did go through a lineup change at the beginning of the year. So the new lineup, we're getting ready to go into the studio to record the 3rd studio album, and we'll be touring the West Coast hopefully this fall. Looking for spring release on DC Jam for the next record, and hopefully playing all over the place in 2026.
Fantastic. Even Australia?
Ultrabomb. You never know. Maybe.
That's fine. I know. It's a long way. It's a big ask. But yeah. Ultrabomb is a project you've been doing for 4 years. And there are actually some quite rare records in that catalog. Time to Burn is exceedingly difficult to find on vinyl. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am acutely aware of that. So that was the first album that we put out. DC Jam, I've worked with for quite some time. Darren wanted to put that record out. My former bandmates, Jamie and Finney, were convinced that we'd make way more money if we just put it out ourselves. And so foolishly, we attempted to put it out ourselves. Yeah, the first 500 sold out relatively quickly, and we just kind of flubbed that whole thing. Apologies to everybody that pre-ordered the record because it took forever to get it out. And supposedly there are another 200 copies of the record that I believe are being shipped to me from England, but there was a flood in the storage place and all the jackets got ruined. So I'm going to end up with a couple hundred copies of the record in plain white paper sleeves, and I'll figure out a way to get those out there somehow.
Far out. Okay. All right. Or is there the opportunity for people who haven't ordered to order more?
Not at the moment, until I actually have like physical possession of these records. We'll see. I've been waiting since like March for these to get shipped. So
Yeah. Look, I heard today, again, being overseas, that there's shipments are again being delayed because of the whole tariff debacle. So that
doesn't surprise me at all.
Hopefully it doesn't impact what you guys are doing there. Although,
Yep.
There's always indirect ways things get impacted with stuff like this. But Ultrabomb, people could find online as well. Where can people follow you on Instagram? What's the best way to people to?
Yeah, definitely Instagram, Facebook. We're on all the streaming platforms as well. So pick your favorite. There, Bands in Town is another good place to follow what's happening with the band.
Excellent. I'll put those links in this episode page. Greg, again, it's been an absolute honor speaking with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Always wanted to have you on. And finally, we had a good excuse with this activity at the September 9th Punk Rock Museum, the guided tour and a show, Las Vegas, Nevada. Everyone make whatever attempt you can to get there. I'm sure there's plenty of other stories and tales that you can tell. Looking forward to that Numero package. Oh my God, it's Savage Young Doo is constantly on the turntable, and this is going to be a great addition to that. So again, Greg, thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Hey, thanks.
And
my pleasure.
And we hope to find you in Australia at some point, dear God.
Same.
All right, very nice guy, that Greg Norton. A lot of history there. Anyone around Las Vegas or drivable to Las Vegas on September 9th, do yourself a favor, lock in that September 9th guided tour of the Punk Rock Museum. Hang out, watch the live show, enjoy the day. That's thepunkrockmuseum.com. And that's it for this episode of The Vinyl Guide. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, appreciate all of you all who are helping support this podcast, who are sharing these episodes on social media, putting them on Reddit forums and Facebook groups. That's hugely appreciated. Leaving us positive reviews is free and very helpful. Just takes a moment of your time up at Apple Podcasts or Spotify, giving us 5 out of 5, saying something nice. That is always appreciated. And we'll be back shortly with a brand new episode. So until we talk next time, you guys behave yourselves. And thanks again for listening to the Vinyl Guide podcast. Cheers.